So Shamshir, over to you to present your allocated chapters.
Sure. I'm just
Just take your
put that
time.
in the slide mode. Yeah. So, hello everyone. My name is Shamshir Ansari, and I've recently become a technical product manager at Platform 9. Prior to that, I was a developer, mostly working on cloud native and Kubernetes stuff for almost past 12 years, I believe. So yeah, I joined this book reading club so that I can learn from the best and I can become the best product manager. And I think one of the chapter that I picked up from Escape the Build Trap is a great product manager, right? And it's chapter 7 from Escaping the Build Trap book, written by Mellissa Perri, right? So this chapter basically focuses on how you can become a best product manager in whatever field you are working in, either retail, either software, either any other banking or some any field. Wherever you are a product manager, how can you become the best of yourself? How can you deliver the best product management experience to your customers and your users, right? So the first thing that we wanted to focus on is what is the role of product manager, right? Because if you want to become a good or a great product manager, you have to first understand what is your roles and responsibilities. And there are certain roles and responsibilities, and there are many roles and responsibilities. But what we wanted to focus on is how can you become a great product manager by focusing on the right things, right? And one of those things is solving the user's problem by creating the right product for them, right? And what does it mean, right? So for example, if you're building a social networking website, your focus should always be how do you connect different people together in a different way, and how do you make them feel connected to each other by sharing photos, commenting on their post, or maybe sending them a private message. These are the things which people want when they wanted to have a social networking website, right? So we always have to focus on creating the right product, right? And the right product will only be built if we are actually focusing on users' problem, right? And there are certain, or I would say there are many problems for different customers. But what we wanted to focus on is if you want to build any application, you have to first identify what are their problems, what are their pain points, and then only you will be able to build the right products. And one of them is to, wear different hats. So in order to understand the user problem, you have to become a communicator. You have to, connect with, I would say, a sales or marketing people, maybe go out in the community and just talk to different people and understand what are their pain points, what are their problems that they are currently focusing on, or what are they facing, and then based on that you have to build the right product. And wearing a different hat mean that at some point you have to become a product manager, at some point you have to become a sales guy, at some point you have to become a marketing guy. So there are different roles and responsibilities that comes when you are a product manager, right? And if you're working in a larger organization, then it's possible that you have a very specific responsibility, right? So for example, like working on vision and strategy for your specific products. But if you're working in a startup, you have to wear a multiple hats, right? So sometimes you have to become a product manager, sometimes you have to become a program manager, sometimes you have to become a product owner, defining the user stories and user personas and all of these things that you have to do. So if you want to become a great product manager, one of the things that you have to always consider is how can you play a different role and wear different hats to fulfill that responsibility. Okay. And once you wear a different hats to fulfill a different responsibility, you have to also understand what is the market and the business needs, right? And when I say market and the business needs, for example, if I'm building an enterprise application on Kubernetes or some other applications, first I have to understand what are the pain points of customers who are building these kind of applications on top of Kubernetes. So one of the hardest problem in Kubernetes is easy, but they are very hard to manage. So this hard to manage is a problem. And once you want to build any product on top of that, you have to go out in the market, you have to talk to the customers and then find out what are their pain points, why they're not able to manage the Kubernetes distribution, and why they want to scale at a different market, and they want to acquire a different customer. So what might be the problem from their perspective? And in order to do that, you have to go to the market. You have to talk to different customers on conferences, on community meetings, or maybe on meetups. These kind of things that will help you understand the market and the business needs, right? The next point, which is very, very critical, is you have to find out what is the vision for your company. So there are different companies built to solve a specific problem. So for example, previously I was in VMware, right? The VMware solved the problem of virtualization. And it's kind of like you can run, one application on all other operating system and laptops, like Ubuntu, maybe on Mac, maybe on Windows, right? And that's only possible through virtualization. So the vision of the company is to allow anybody to run any application on any platform. That's the vision, right? Similarly, I recently joined Platform 9, and their vision is to make Kubernetes distribution easier to manage and deploy in different applications. So we always have to focus on what is the vision of the company, what is the vision of the product. Then only we will be able to build the right product for the customer. If we distract ourselves from the vision of the company, then it will be very difficult to build the right product for the right customer. So this is critical and very, very important. If you want to become a great product manager, you have to always align yourself with the vision of the company. Right. And one of the basic thing in order to build the right product and right market fit applications, you have to have empathy with users, right? And what do I mean by empathy is you have to understand the needs of the customer. And what is the needs? Like I said, right? So for example, if I'm building a WhatsApp application, the needs of anybody is to connect with family and friends, or they should be able to send messages without having problem providers to actually charge you for different messages. So previously, before WhatsApp was built, people used to send simple messages using your mobile provider, like Airtel, Vodafone, and any of these mobile providers. So they were charging some amount from your account, from your balance, right? And then what they did, they realized that most of the customers want to send more messages. So they actually make a scheme where they allow you to send 100 messages per day in that particular recharges, but that still charges you a money. But if you have a good internet connection, then WhatsApp is one of the best way where you start sending messages, and it won't charge you a money to send a message. Whatever you're using on your mobile through your broadband connection or Airtel connection or your internet connection, that's free of charge. So that is one of the basic pain point of the people at that time, and that's why WhatsApp was built. And they really understand the needs of the user, that they want to send a message from to friends and family. They want to share pictures quickly. They don't have to they don't really want broadband provider or internet provider to charge money for them, right? And this is one of the reasons why, if you want to build the right products, you have to have an empathy with users. You have to understand their pain points. You have to talk to them. You have to see what are the daily problems that they are currently facing. And it might be on a different scale. Like it can be on the retail side. It can be on, on the mobile apps. It can be on the websites that you're visiting. So you have to talk to them. You have to understand the problems. Then only you'll be able to build the right product. And then only you will be able to, become a great product manager. So one of the quote that I remember for these kind of things is, if you want to build the right products, you will not be able to find all the answers inside the building. And you have to go outside, talk to different people. Then only you will be able to understand what exactly is the problem. If you're sitting inside the building, and if you're trying to, imagine or assume that this might be the problem for the customers, and that's why I want to build this product, it won't work. Because once you go out and talk to different people outside, you will realize that our hypothesis is not always correct. It's not all 100% accurate. And that's why, having empathy with users, going out and talking to them will actually help us understand their pain points, their problems, and then only we'll be able to build the right product for customers, right? And if you really want to become a great product manager, like people want, if you want people to listen to you, then you will have to create your own influence. You have to become kind of influencer, right? And that's one of the basic thing that every product manager should have. So if you have, multiple teams in your organization and you want to communicate with them, there might be a chance that some of them are very higher on the management side. Some of them might be a very experienced and they don't really want to talk to you. They don't really want to listen to you. So what you have to do is you have to somehow find a way to create your own influence so that people will listen to you. Okay? So basically, product managers are not managers, but they are actually an influencer. And people will only listen to you if they know that you're the right person to talk to. If you show them what qualities you have, why talking to you will help them solve their problems, right? So that's one of the reason you have to create your own influence. You have to, create your own leadership style in the organization if you want to really become a great product manager, right? And in order to do that, you also have to understand the strength of your team members. So maybe you're working with engineering teams, maybe you're working with design teams, whether you're working with uh, sales and marketing teams. You have to understand who is the best person to talk to, who will help you solve your problems, and you will also have to identify how you can solve their problem. Then only you will be able to create influence, and you will be able to communicate with them properly, and you will be able to build the right product for the customers. So that's one of the reason, that's one of the core things that you have to build is your own influence inside the organization, outside the organization, so that people will listen to you, people will love talking to you, and they will love helping you, and you will you will love helping them to solve their problems, right? Convincing the team and the company about the product direction. And I think this is very, very critical, because whatever product you are building, you always have to iterate on it, and then you have to convince your team members in the organization to build towards that specific goal, to build towards that specific direction. Because what might happen is, if you are not watching the market, if you're not talking to customers, then it might be a chance that you will build something that people don't want. And like in last discussion, Abdul showed that 75% of the feature that any application and product have, people don't use that. They are only focused on 25%. So that 25% should be something which will be very useful. And we always have to think about whether whatever feature we are adding to the product is helpful for customers or not. Otherwise, we shouldn't be adding those features to it, because we'll be adding too much feature and people don't use it. So we always have to align ourselves to the direction of the product, so that we will build the right product. And in order to do that, you always have to convince the team member to work towards the common goal, to work towards the common vision for your product, for your application. And that's why you have to create your influence, so that people will listen to you, people will love talking to you, and then only you'll be able to build the right product. And if you are building any product, you have to take the ownership, right? And you always have to focus on why part of the product, why I'm building this product, right? So one of the application that I worked on while I was in Red Hat is the service mesh. And it's kind of things that actually solves the problem of microservices application. So you have so many services, and you want to make communication between these services simpler. And that is only possible through service mesh technology. So you always have to focus on why you are building this product, which will solve the customer problem. What are their pain points and how can you solve them? And you always have to iterate on this and remind yourself that why I'm building this product that might be helpful for the customers to, solve their pain points, right? Because if you don't build the right product, their problem won't be solved, and they will start looking into other products and other alternatives which might be available in the market. So you always have to focus on why I'm building this product and what is my end goal, what is the thing that I wanted to provide to the customers, so that the company will get benefit out of it. Right? And in order to do that, you have to collaborate different ideas and different suggestions from different team members. So if you're talking to design folk, right, and you might suggest that this application should look something like this, but they have a better suggestion. So you have to kind of create a collaborative environment in the organization in order to come up with the right solution for the customers. So if I'm an engineer and I always focus on how to build this solution, right? But UX guy know what customers will use in order to solve their problems and in order to work on that specific UI component. So they might come up with a better idea. I might focus mostly on the backend aspects of the product, like how I can solve this problem, but it might not be a chance that might be best usable for the customer. So you have to collaborate with different team members in order to see how you can solve the specific problem by coming up with the best user experience, best UI that might be useful for any users they are using your application, right? And it's not just you who owns the entire product. It's the different team members, different part of the organization. So UX team also owns the UI part of the application. The backend team owns all the algorithms and coding part of the application. The sales team owns how much my application might be useful for different customers. So it's kind of like a collective ownership that you have to understand, and kind of like you have to make sure that you are not only the owner of the product, it's all the collective team members, it's all the different parts of the organization who are the owners of this product, and then only you'll be able to build the right products and avoid the build trap of building the wrong products for the customers, right? And in order to do that, you have to create a right strategy. So what exactly is strategy? Strategy is something that will help you align with your goal. Strategy is something that will build you and help you build the right products, right? And that's only possible if you do certain experiments on whatever you are building. So if you assume that I want to build maybe a Twitter, something similar to Twitter, recently Instagram launched a thread app, right? So they saw that there is a problem in the market. People are getting away from Twitter application, and what they wanted to do is they wanted to solve that problem. They wanted to capture that market. So they have a better strategy, and they know that Twitter is going to be not that much popular in several years if we give them a better alternative. So Facebook decided to build this strategy to create a separate app that will actually help people to communicate on a shorter messages. And people used to comment a lot on Instagram images and pictures, and they realized that this is something we can build which will become a competitor for Twitter users. And I think within two hours they reach millions of users, right? So they built the right strategy, they built the right product at the right time, but they also did a certain experiments with different features on Instagram, Facebook, and other apps. And that's how they were able to experiment with different approaches, and they were able to come up with a best product that might become the competitor for Twitter. And I think they were able to achieve that within 2 hours of time and millions of users. So that's only possible if you have a right strategy, if you're experimenting with different approaches that you have, then only you'll be able to build the right product. And in order to do that, you have to always focus on your strategies for your product that you are building. And in order to do that, you have to perform a different type of experiments, small experiments. So for example, one of the feature that we have built in our previous application is the side menu, right? The side menu has certain problems, whether you want to give them nested options, whether you want to give them one option in the side menu and then have multiple tabs at the top of the page. So this is kind of experiment that we did with the customers. And what we realized is instead of tabs, they wanted to have a nested menu so that they will be able to understand on which menu and submenu they are clicking. So we did run some experiments to understand what is the right approach for customers to use the side menu and tab options, different tab options. So that's only possible if you do a certain experiments with your products to understand how your customers are actually using the product, right? And like I said, if you want to run a different experiments, you have to kind of connect some analytics to your product so that analytics will track, okay, where the customers are clicking, whether they're, actually using that feature that you have built, right? So like we discussed, 75% of the feature people don't use in your product. So how do you identify, right? And that's only possible if you provide some kind of analytics, some kind of collect some data from the customers, where they're clicking, what features they are using. And that's only possible if you connect analytics into your products. And based on that, you will be able to find out what features customers are using, what features they are not using. And then you can decide whether this will be worth spending your resources, your company's money, and a lot of efforts on that feature or not. And then you can decide to either remove it or keep it as it is, but that might be a maintenance error. So this is all about your strategy of building the product, running different experiments, and then doing some kind of a research to identify whether this feature that I've built will be either useful or not useful. And then based on that, you can take a decision. So in order to become a great product manager, you always have to work on your strategic approach of building any of the products. And this is one of my favorite topic, because based on the book, what I've realized is one of the company called Marketly, what they did, they thought they built some marketing product, and that's why the name of the product was Marketly. And they thought if they will hire more marketing managers, then their product will be best suited for their customers. And they did hire a lot of marketing experts, and they started selling it to the customers, but the marketing experts were not the product experts, and they were not able to build the right product for their customers. And after a certain period of time, they realized that they also need a tech expert, not just a marketing expert, right? So this is one of the reasons that if you're building any kind of products, you have to identify different parts of your application, and then hire a specific people to build that specific domain. So definitely you need a tech expert, because they are going to build the product, but you also need a marketing expert who will actually go out in the market, and they will sell your products, right? Most of the product managers think that they can alone solve all the problem of the product. They have a wolf mentality, right? And this wolf mentality is something that they always think that they are the one who will solve all the problems. If you want to become a great product manager, you have to avoid this mentality. You always have to remember that you cannot build a right product if you always work alone. You have to collaborate with different teams. You have to collaborate with different marketing experts, and designing experts and sales experts, in order to build the right product. Because if you always do everything lonely, if you always do everything alone, then definitely you will not be able to build the right product for the customer, right? And in order to do that, you have to have a balance between your technical knowledge, your technical abilities in the product, and then you also have to understand who is the marketing expert in your team who will help you achieve that. Because there are a lot of roles and responsibility for a single product manager. And in order to solve all the problems, you have to find out who is the best person in the team to solve my specific areas of expertise. Like whether it will be a technical issue, whether it will be a marketing related issues, you have to find the best person in that specific team, and then you will have to collaborate with them, and then solve the specific problem at that time. And that's how there are different expertise available in the team. That might be either technical expertise or marketing expertise or sales expertise or design expertise. You have to find out the best person in that team, and then try to collaborate with them, and then solve the problem. Then only you will be able to build the right product and avoid the build trap for building the wrong product for the market and customers. Right? And like I said, this is one of the important thing. Like you always have to focus on solving the problem, right? And it's not necessary that product manager is only responsible for solving all the problems. You have to actually work in the problem space, not in the solution space, right? Because if you understand what is the problem for my application, there are different teams and persons available in your organization who will be able to solve that problem. Right? So you have to work in problem space, not in the solution space. Find out the problem, find out the issues of the product, and then track it somewhere. maybe in the backlog, Jiras and everywhere, and then you share it with the right person. You assign it to the right person who will be responsible for solving their problem. And whenever they come up with any idea, any solutions, you have to, have empathy with your team members also. It's not just that you have to build empathy with customers. You also have to build empathy with your existing team members, right? Then only you will be able to come up with the right decision and right solution for your product. And you don't really have to be a problem solver all the time. You have to find out the right person who will be able to solve the problem for you. And that's how you avoid any kind of risk, any kind of uncertainties in your product, and then only you'll be able to build a right product in the right direction for right users. And always have to focus on solving the problem of customers, not any technical depths, not any of the things that will distract you from building the right products for your customers. So this is one of the questions that so many of my friends ask me. What is your roles and responsibilities in the company, right? What is your responsibility as a product manager? Do you only do documentation? Do you only maintain Jiras, or assign it to different folks? What exactly is your roles and responsibilities? And I think, like I said, this will depend on the kind of organization that you're working for. If you're working for a smaller organization, you have to play a different role. Sometimes you have to become a product manager. Sometimes you have to become a product owner who will maintain the GRs, user stories, and acceptance criteria, right? Sometimes you have to become a program manager who is responsible for different releases in your product. So it completely depends on what organizations you're working with. Do you have a small team? Do you have a large team? And based on that, your roles and responsibilities might change, right? And you have to have a lot of context. You have to do a lot of context switch from one thing to another thing, right? One of the things that I was recently doing was I got a problem statement and I started writing a PRD for that, product requirement document. And then I got another requirement that I have to create a survey for identifying whether the feature that we are going to build will be really useful for customers or not, right? So I had to do a little bit of context switch from one thing to another thing and play a different role to create those surveys, share it with the support team, and help them set up a meeting with customers to identify what problems we are trying to solve so that we will build the right kind of product, right? And this is also one of the important thing that I got to hear from a lot of people. Are you a manager or are you a leader, right? And basically the product managers are collaborators, not a manager. They don't have a manager title. They don't have direct authority to tell people what to do and what not to do. But they are kind of influencer and leader who will help organizations to collaborate different business units and different teams with each other to build the right products. It might be a chance that if you're working in a larger organization, then you might be a manager for multiple product owners. So if you are handling multiple products and there are different product owners for each of these products, you have to collaborate with them. You have to talk to them in order to see whether we are on the right goal, whether we are on the right strategy, and whether we are able to release a specific feature to the customer on time. So you have to play a different responsibilities at different times, and it completely depends on what organizations you're working on, right? Now, whatever you're building, you always have to focus on how are you going to validate whatever application you have built is useful for customers. And this is something you always have to do once you build any feature. So that's one of the goal of Agile, right? So you have to iteratively build and deliver smaller set of features to the customer so that you can validate, you can identify whether the feature that we have built is really useful for customers or not. And to do that, you have to perform certain kind of validations, right? And if you don't perform any kind of validation for your releases, for your features that you have built, then definitely you will fall into the build trap and you will build a wrong product for the customer. So always focus on validating certain features and certain bug fixes that you have done in the product, certain new or shiny features that you have developed in your product. You have to always focus on validating that. Then only you'll be able to find out whether the product that I'm building is right for the customers or not. And in order to do that, so if you're working in a larger organization, you might have a dedicated product owner for that specific product. But if you're working in a small organization, product manager plays a role of product owner, and then you are the one who is responsible for validating whatever feature you have released is really helpful for customers, whether we are solving the right problem or not. So you will be responsible for validating all of those feature requests and new features for your product. And if you don't do these kind of validations, then you won't be called as a great product manager. So in order to become a great product manager, you have to always validate your assumptions, validate your features, validate your product vision and strategies to make sure that whatever product you are building is always on the right track and you are building right product for the customers and market. So that's all about the different components and different parts of what might make you a great product manager. And I think based on this Escaping the Build Trap book, these are the 6 or 7 qualities that I have found, which will make you a great product manager over the period of time. And you will not be able to become a great product manager within month or 2 months, right? It's a journey, and you have to always focus on how can I become a great product manager. And in order to do that, you have to find out different areas of expertise that you need in order to become a great product manager. And one of them is customer focus and communicative. Right? So you always have to work backward in the market. Backward in the sense you always have to start from customer. You don't have to build a feature, release it, and then ask the customer whether whatever I've built is useful for you or not. You always have to work backward. What are their problems? What are their priorities? What are their pain points? And then based on that, you build the product. So you always have to work backward from customers to product, not product to customers. And you also have to be a good communicator, because whatever you are building should be communicated well to the different stakeholders in the company and also to the wider audience. So if you have a good communication skill, you will be able to collaborate with different business units, different part of the team to build the right product for your customers. And once you build and release the product, there might be a chance that there are a lot of issues coming up. There are a lot of problems that customers might be facing. So you also have to think about how do you prioritize the most important feature that will go to the customers and that will help them solve their problems. And that's why you have to become a good prioritizer. Then only you'll be able to become a great product manager. So these are different areas, different features, or I would say the qualities which is necessary to become a great product manager in any organization or any company that you are working for. So that's it about how do you become a great product manager. And again, this was from chapter 7 from Escaping the Build Trap book, written by Mellissa Perri. Any questions, any doubts, please feel free to ask. I hope I was not too fast.
No, Shamshi, thank you so much. Really great insights.
Great. Awesome.
It was more of that session where a person asked, "Who am I and what is my purpose on earth?" So, from that perspective, of product manager, you have kind of covered it all, and thank you so much.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Awesome. Any questions related to becoming a great product manager? So I've just spent 1 month in this role. So I'm just learning how to become a great product manager. And this is one of the way which really helped me to articulate these different points and, these different qualities that will be helpful to become a great product manager. And like I said, it will be a journey. I won't become a great product manager within 2 or 3 months. I'll have to spend a lot of time, but I also have to focus on the most important thing, or we all have to focus on the most important thing in order to become a great product manager. Right.
Agree.
Awesome.
Yeah. And I do think that no matter how much experience you have in this role, you always have to have that attitude of starting new, being an attentive person, listening to the customer. So those basics have to always stick, no matter how experienced you are.
That's correct. Great.